vocabulary, vocabulary, vocabulary. And thank you for connecting on YouTube. I'm just explaining to Instagram. We are talking about animals today, and I have an article in relation to animals, and you can see some of the difficult vocabulary, and I will try to explain some of the important points in the class. Okay, so now I'm just going to close this window. I'm going to share the screen, and you can see my article. You can see everything, and we will begin. So this is an interesting topic, and you can see the picture is very black and white. It's very dark picture, and but each picture has a little story, and each picture has some explanation at the bottom, and there is some intermediate and some advanced vocabulary. Yesterday was probably more intermediate, but with the weather, but today I think we have more advanced vocabulary, and that is very, very good. So again, I'll just identify the vocabulary with my pen on the computer, and I will explain as we go. Okay, so the first expression is under threat, and again, I'll just identify the vocabulary in the first paragraph. Sanctuary is not too difficult. Portray is very important and very advanced and very nice. Again, yesterday we had the same word, a drought. Drought was related to the weather yesterday, and I will explain now. And that's it. That's it. Okay, so just to begin, very, very short. Under threat is when you have a problem. The verb is to threaten. When a person is very aggressive and they are not happy, they threaten you. For example, they say, I will kill you. That's a threat. So the noun is a threat. The verb is to threaten. And the expression here, under threat, is the typical sentence. You are under threat. And the significance means you are in danger. So under threat and in danger have a very, very similar significance. A sanctuary, you can see here, a sanctuary is a safe location or a safe place. It's typical for animals, but also in real situations, in other situations, we use a sanctuary very typically. For example, you need a sanctuary to rest. So you need a place to relax, to be safe, to be calm. So we use this word in other situations, not just for animals. The next verb is to portray, which is connected to a portrait. So if you have a portrait, it's like a picture. But if you want to show or to describe or to paint, it's a similar word like portray. It's to show. It's more advanced, to show. So you portray your emotions. It's a little more sophisticated, a little more advanced, and it's a good example of difficult, more advanced vocabulary. Again, the next word is a drought. The pronunciation is important because the G is silent. So the pronunciation is a drought, and the significance is when there is no rain, when it's very dry and there is no rain, you have a drought, and it's a big problem for the animals. It's a big problem for the farmers. Okay, so now I'll clear the text and I will make the screen a little bit bigger so you can see the text a bit better. So this picture, we have an elephant, and we have, it looks like a couple, a woman and a man. The man looks very tired. He's lying on the ground, and the lady is staring or fixed staring at the camera. Her face is a little bit sad, and the man is very tired as well. So it's an interesting picture. Again, the color is black and white for artistic effect, I think. But now we will read the text at the bottom. So here you can see it's in Kenya, and this is Fatuma, Ali, and Bupa in Kenya in 2020. Okay, so Ali and Fatuma lived as nomads. Again, I will just try to identify the key vocabulary here, because there's 2 or 3 expressions that are very interesting and very important. So a nomad is very important. Livestock is definitely related to animals and related to farms. Severe droughts, again, goats, specific type of animal. Cows is more general. Most people understand the significance of a cow. That's very general, very basic. Here they were forced to seek. That's very general vocabulary, but very important as well. I will explain. Refuge, just a pronunciation. Remember, a refugee is the person, and refuge is the noun. Okay, so refugee is a person, and refuge is the noun. Okay, elephant cull. This word is very interesting as well and very advanced, and I will explain in one moment. Encroachment, very important. Damaged, general. Overgrazing, very, very important. Woodlands, maybe very important. Okay, so we have maybe 3 or 4 very interesting expressions in this paragraph. A nomad is a person with no home, a person who's constantly traveling. If you are a nomad, you are the person who's constantly moving, constantly traveling, and never settled, never in the one place. You're a nomad. You have no home. I suppose it's a little different from homeless. Nomad is more traveling. Okay. Livestock. So here you can see another word, livestock. And the first word, stock, is very important because it's related to a shop. If you have a lot of stock in the shop, the significance is you have a lot of products, a lot of material in the shop. Very typical. It is a verb to stock. And we also have stock room in the shop, in the shopping center. The stock room is the room in the shop that contains all the products. So, for example, a sports shop, you'd speak with the customer, and after you take the order, you go to the stock room, you take the product, and you return to the customer. So the stock room is important. The word stock is very, very important. So, for example, in the supermarket, you work in the supermarket, and your job, your function is to stock the shelves. And the significance is to put the products on the shelf. Okay, remember, shelf with the F is singular, and with the VES, it's plural. In your room, you have a shelf for the book. In this room, we have the book shelf, and the verb is to stock the shelves, to put the products on the shelves. Also, another situation with a storm, and you are in your house and there's a big, big storm, and you need to go to the shop to buy milk, to buy bread, to buy food, to survive for 3 or 4 days because you will stay at home. It's a perfect situation to say to stock the fridge, to stock the press, to stock the kitchen. And the significance is to put a lot of food, a lot of products in your kitchen. Okay, so it's flexible, very, very good. In this situation, live stock is the quantity and number of animals that you have on the farm. So imagine you are the farmer and you have 10 cows, 20 sheep. Together, that is live stock. Okay, so the simple explanation, very typical in English and a very important stock. Again, we have another expression. For example, you come from good stock. That means you come from good stock. The significance is you come from a good family. That's the idea. You come from good stock. Okay, and the significance is you come from a considered good family, for example. Okay, so you come from good stock. So it is important. Again, the next one is the same as yesterday, a drought. If you have no rain, you have a drought. It's generally for the weather, but also we use this word in other situations. For example, business. and you have no success. No, you sell nothing today, you sell nothing tomorrow, you have a drought. So it's a period with no success. But in relation to weather, it's a period with no rain. Okay, the next word is interesting because it is a verb, to seek. This is very important and it's more advanced. The general explanation is to look for. I'm looking for a job, looking for a house, looking for help. That's general. A little more advanced, you are seeking a job, seeking a house, seeking a friend, etc. Looking for. The next word is refuge. Just the pronunciation, it's like safety. If you are looking for refuge, the significance is you're looking for a safe place to stay. Okay, so refuge is the safe place. Refuge is the person looking for the safe place. Here we have a goat, and a goat is a type of animal, but we have an expression, I think we say crazy as a goat, and in other languages, I think in Latin languages, you also have the expression you're crazy like a goat. Okay, but we also have an acronym. It's very famous nowadays to say the person is the goat, and it's an acronym, and the significance is the greatest of all time. So if you are the goat, you are the greatest of all time. Okay, that is the very famous expression we use nowadays in text messages and Twitter and social media. This player, this celebrity is the GOAT. They're the best person ever. Okay. The next word is very advanced, very fluent, and very important as well. Cull. It is a verb. Okay, so the verb is to cull. It's related to animals, and the significance is to kill a lot. So if you have to cull a lot of animals, the significance is you have to kill a lot of animals. There is another word, to slaughter. That's very advanced, very important, very common. To slaughter. The pronunciation, the G is silent. So to slaughter is to kill a lot of people or to kill a lot of animals. And the name of the place where they kill a lot of animals is the slaughterhouse. Okay. Informal, it's possible to say your friend slaughtered you, and it's a joke that your friend kills you with the humor or with the criticism. So if your friend slaughters you, the significance is your friend makes a joke of you and embarrasses you, and they slaughter you, they kill you because they're very funny and what you did is ridiculous. So your friends slaughter you. Okay. So to cull is very, very similar, but it's specific for animals. We don't really, well, in a selection process, for example, sports, academics, if there's a selection process and you survive the cull, the significance is you continue to participate. In companies, in business, if there is a cull, there is a lot of people losing the job. So they have to sack and to fire a lot of people to lose the job. So in that situation, we say they culled a lot of people. So that's the second possibility with cull. But slaughter is more typical. Okay. Encroachment, again, very advanced, very, very good. The verb is to encroach, and it's very similar to the verb to approach. Okay, remember, approach is like move towards, but encroach is maybe to enter the perimeter or to enter the area. For example, in golf sport today, the golf competition in America starts the Ryder Cup, and in golf they have the protection for the supporters. So you have a rope, and you're not permitted to pass the rope for security. But if you pass the rope, you encroach. Okay, so to encroach is maybe to pass the border, to enter the area that you are not permitted to enter. That's to encroach. And in this situation, it's just a noun, okay? Because meant is a typical suffix for a noun, encroachment. Damage is more general. It's very, very important. Damage your hand, damage your leg, damage your reputation, damage your car, okay? And in this situation, it's the past simple. So damage. Woodlands is very interesting as well. We have two words, wood and lands. Wood is on the table. So that's the wood on the table. Okay, touch wood. It's a joke, touch wood. But also the woods is a name for the forest. In the park, you have a lot of trees. And because the material of the tree is wood, we say that they are the woods. Okay, so the woods is another name for the forest. So the woodlands is the area which has a lot of trees. So basically it's a more advanced, or it's a synonym of a forest, the woodlands. Okay, the next verb is very important, related to animals. The prefix is over and the verb is to graze. Okay, and let me explain a couple of examples. To graze your knee. So for example, the part of the leg is your knee or your elbow. If you graze your elbow because you fall and you cut, but it's not exactly this direction, it's more this direction. So to graze is when you have an action like this and you have a small cut. Okay, that's the first significance. The second significance is related to animals. When the animal eats the grass, in English we say to graze, and the significance is they are eating the grass but very relaxed, very calm, no pressure. During the day, maybe 2 minutes, relax. So they eat the grass when they want. That's the verb to graze. Very specific for animals, for cows, and it's a metaphor for a person when they retire. When you finish your job and you retire, it's possible to say you are put out to graze. So you have nothing to do, you just relax and eat. That's the significance when you lose your job or you retire. That's the second example. Remember, the first situation is the body when you graze your elbow, and the second significance is when the animal eats the food, very calm, very relaxed. Okay, very good. That's an interesting paragraph, maybe 4 or 5 very important words in the text. And now we'll continue to the next paragraph. Okay, so here you can see another picture. Again, very dramatic, very impactful, very striking picture. And you can see the lady sitting on a high chair and the giraffe is beside her, the big animal. So very interesting picture. And of course there is a story, and it's in Zimbabwe, Helen and Sky in Zimbabwe. Okay, so very short paragraph, but perfect for this class. And I hope you can follow the class. So here I'm going to identify very quickly the key vocabulary first, okay? And at the end, I will explain. Okay, maze, just a pronunciation, a plot, maze, lack of, rainfall, poverty, it's very general, lives is very general, but I just need to be careful. And wildlife, very general. Okay, this expression, wiped out, is a phrasal verb, but very important, and I will explain. Also, settlers, very important. And that's it. Species, just a pronunciation, species. Okay, so not too difficult. 2 or 3 very important words. The first key word is plot. Okay, it's very famous with land. If you have a plot of land, the significance is you have an area of land or a piece of land, and it's your property. This is your plot of land. That's the first significance. The second significance is very famous, and it's related to the ship. It's related to adventure. It's related to travel. If you plot your trip, you organize and you plan. So it's the same context really, because you have a plot of land, but the verb to plot is to organize your trip. For example, today we are in Dublin. Tomorrow we are in Italy. The next day we are in Brazil. You're plotting. So you're planning. That's the significance to plot. But the context is a little negative, and it's related to a person planning something negative. So if you want the manager's position, you want the better position in the company, you are plotting your strategy, you are plotting your plan. So you're organizing, you're planning, maybe in a negative for your selfish, for your objective. Okay, so that's the significance to plot. Very important. Maize is a type of food. Okay, so I'll just have the pen. Maize is a type of food. I think it's like wheat and corn. It's a basic type of food. It's very important, maize. But there is a second word that looks very similar, sounds the same, but the spelling is different. Okay, so maize is the food, but a maze is like a labyrinth. I don't know if you're familiar with that word, a labyrinth. When you are a child, you go to the park and you have the playground, and the maze is the place you enter, and it's very difficult to exit because it's very confusing. It's impossible to escape. That is a maze. So the pronunciation is exactly the same as the food, but the significance is completely different. We have another word which looks the same, sounds the same, but it's completely different. Again, the verb is to amaze. Okay, so if you do something brilliant, something fantastic, you amaze me, you surprise me, like amazing. So it's the same pronunciation, similar appearance, but just different in the significance. Okay, so a maze with the substantive is like in the playground, you're in it and you cannot escape. And the verb to amaze is to do something wonderful. Okay, lack is key, very intermediate, very important. Lack of, it means you do not have sufficient quantity. You have a lack of time, a lack of energy, a lack of talent, a lack of ability. You do not have sufficient quantity of ability. You do not have sufficient quantity of food, lack of time. Very impressive vocabulary, very important. Rainfall. So rain is just very general with the weather, but substantive rainfall is all the rain. So today there will be a lot of rainfall. There will be a lot of quantity of rain today. This word is very general, live. You just need to be careful. The difference, the verb and the noun and the plural. So the verb is to live, and the pronunciation. I live in Ireland. I live here. I live, pronunciation in Ireland. I live. But the life is what you have, one life. But the plural is two lives, and the same spelling as this word here, but completely different. Okay, so one life, two lives, and then she or he lives. So you need to be very clear and very careful with that. The next word is typical, and a lot of people ask about this word because poor is the adjective. The person is poor. The area is poor. That's the adjective. But the noun connected to poor is poverty. So you are in poverty. You live in poverty, or that's the noun. Okay, but the place is very poor, adjective, but poverty is the noun. So very interesting and very important as well. Again, wildlife, not too difficult, but wildlife is all the animals that live in the wild. So wild is very important. If a person is very wild, they're crazy. If the child is very wild, the child is crazy. And wildlife is the typical animals that live in the jungle, that are not domesticated. That's wildlife. The next expression is a phrasal verb. The verb is to wipe. When you cry and you're sad, you wipe your tears. Okay, so to wipe your eye, to wipe your tears is to clean your eyes and to clean your tears. The table, if the table is dirty, you need to wipe the table. And very important. And with the car, you also have in the window of the car, I'm just going to type, you have the wind screen. This is very difficult. Windscreen wiper. So the screen in the car to protect from the wind, that's the wind screen. And the little object to clear the water from the car, that's the windscreen wiper. But to wipe out is to eliminate. For example, in school, you have a bad moment in school, and the teacher takes your name, and this is bad. The bad moment takes your name, but tomorrow they pardon your behavior and they forget your behavior, so they wipe out the history. So the basically is to clear the history. But in relation to animals or to people, to wipe the animals out is kill and eliminate. Very similar to cull. Remember, in the first part we had to cull. So that's very interesting vocabulary as well. To wipe out is to kill. Also, when you are very, very tired, at the end of the day, you are very tired, it's very typical to say, I am wiped out. I'm destroyed. I'm exhausted. I'm shattered. I'm really, really tired. Okay, so you are wiped out. If you have no money, you have no more money, you are wiped out. You have no more money. And then the final key word is species. Okay, and it's just a pronunciation, but it is very advanced and very important. It's related to animals. So it's a type of animal. We have two words. The first word is species and the second word is breed. Okay, so you need to be a little bit careful with the two words, a breed and a species. For example, the dog. The dog is a breed. What breed of dog do you have? What breed of dog do you like? The significance, what type of dog do you have? What type of dog do you like? A species is similar, but a little bit different as well. So just be careful with the difference between breed and species. In relation to breed, we have an expression that's probably very international. It's probably very similar in other languages. To breed is like to create, like rabbits. So rabbits, I think, generally create and make a lot of babies, make a lot of new rabbits. So that expression we use in life situations for people when they maybe have children, they have a lot of children. It's possible to say breeding like rabbits as well. That's a little humor and a little joke. Okay, but species is important type of animal also. The second word is spice, related to food. Spice is the noun and spicy is the adjective, and spices are the plural of the noun. So spice, spices, and spicy, and species. So you need to be a little bit careful. Okay, I'm just going to check Instagram that we're working. Okay. Yeah, I think we're still connected. Just to double check. Yeah. Okay, because my camera is the opposite, and I don't know if we're connected. So hopefully we're still connected. So that's 2, 3 paragraphs, very, very important with vocabulary and very interesting. So I'll continue because it's not easy, and a little exercise every day is important, and maybe 1 or 2 more and we'll stop because it's a lot of vocabulary. And we'll do the next picture. So here you can see the picture. Again, it's a good idea for you to try to describe, try to imagine, try to explain the picture that you see. This is very good practice. So for me, I can see a man, a woman, probably, possibly a family. They have a little baby. The woman is covering herself with a blanket or a cloak. Difficult vocabulary. She's covering herself with a blanket or a cloak. She's also protecting the baby. In the background, you can see the trees, you can see the woods, you can see a little forest. You can also see 2 rhinoceroses. I think about the plural, well, 1 rhinoceros, and the plural of rhinoceros, it might be different, but there's a few animals in the back, and the weather looks cold. There is mist or fog, difficult vocabulary, mist or fog in the background for the weather. And also, interestingly, there is a light, electric light in the middle of the forest, which is unusual. So that's the picture. The story is Alice, Stanley, and Najin from Kenya last year. Okay, so we continue again with the vocabulary. I will explain the key, sorry, I will underline the key vocabulary first, and then I will explain the vocabulary. So floods is the first one, rhinos, okay, poaching, yes, okay, so this last sentence has the most important vocabulary. Remember, taking its toll, and grim is very important, okay, around the clock and armed security. Want to sneeze? No? Excuse me. Okay, so that is the vocabulary, but now I want to explain this vocabulary. So flood is the same as yesterday, related to the weather. When there is a lot of water, there is a flood. Also in work, if you receive a lot of emails, you receive a lot of messages, you are flooded with messages, you are flooded with emails, and you cannot control, you cannot survive because you have too much work. Okay. Rhino is a type of animal, and we saw in the picture the rhino or the rhinoceros. I think the official name is the rhinoceros. Difficult for pronunciation, very impressive if you're learning English and you can say that perfectly. Rhinoceros, and the short word is a rhino. Okay, very interesting vocabulary. The next word is more advanced, more important. The verb is to poach. Okay, for me, it's very typical in sport. Poach is very, very typical in sport when you have one team and another team, and the manager or the coach or the official wants to contract the player from the other team, but they ask them, and it's illegal. So that's the context. I remember, to poach the player is to rob the player. So it's a more advanced, a more sophisticated way to say steal or rob. Significance to poach. So in relation to animals, in relation to rhinos, people kill the rhino because the value of the nose or the tusk or the horn is very important. So they poach, they kill, or they rob. The third Significance is related to food. When you make an egg, you can boil an egg, you can fry an egg, you can scramble an egg, and you can poach an egg. I think poach an egg is related to water. You put the egg in the water with no shell. That's to poach an egg. And um, that's very interesting vocabulary. And then the next expression, the same expression yesterday. I think this is the third day with the same expression. Very important, very typical, to take a toll. And remember, toll is like a price that you have to pay. It takes its toll, you have to pay. So study English takes a toll. You're tired after you study. You're very tired. So not money, but more energy and emotional. So to take a toll. And grim is a very good adjective, very dark, very depressing, very sad. So the weather is very grim. The weather is very sad. The weather is very depressing. The weather is very bad. The same for news, very grim news, very grim situation, very depressing, very sad. Here we have security. Armed security is related to the arms, which is related to the weapons. So arms, weapons, the pistol, the gun, the rifle, they are the arms or the weapons. And the adjective is armed. So if the man or the woman is armed, the significance is the man or the woman has a weapon. You are armed. It's flexible because in other situations, it's possible. For example, in English, when you learn phrasal verbs, you are armed to have a conversation. So you are ready, you are prepared to have a conversation. And the final paragraph, the final adjective, around the clock, is a very good adjective. For example, you work around the clock, you study around the clock, you are vigilant around the clock. So constantly, all the time, you are vigilant or you study, you work around the clock. Good, great. That's a good class, good vocabulary, difficult, similar every day, not easy. The best way to improve, the best way to learn is to read, 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 and enjoy, and try to understand some vocabulary, some connections with prepositions, the grammar. But reading is a very important activity. Pronunciation is important, so you need a mix of everything. And this class, I hope, can help a little with pronunciation, with vocabulary, and that's my plan. Also, we have classes available. We are organizing more classes, and we have very good teachers available. So, for example, last night I had a class. Tuesday we have another class. Every day we have classes available. So if you want to join the class, we have a WhatsApp group where we have people organizing classes. You can find other people in the WhatsApp group, and you can join the WhatsApp group and we can organize class, and that's the idea. So we're organizing very good classes all the time, so you can join, and very good. Also on Facebook, I'm posting this class on Facebook always. On Instagram Live, I'm putting the class. TikTok, I'm creating little TikToks every day with phrasal verbs, expressions, trying to create TikToks, Instagram Reels, social media. You can follow on all the channels, and that's it. So thank you so much. Remember, today is free. If people want to make a little donation, you are welcome to make a little donation or a little support. I'll just put the information here. So if you want to leave a little donation, that's possible. And that's the information on the screen here with Bizum, Revolut, or the bank transfer if you want. Great. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm going to finish on YouTube now. Hopefully the connection was good. Hopefully there's no problem with the connection with the camera on YouTube. And I hope you can enjoy the class. Fingers crossed it was okay. Now I will check the connection and hopefully the video was okay. So thank you for watching on YouTube. Thank you for watching on Facebook, and hopefully